What's up? Yeah, sorry it took so damn long. I do have a life outside of here, so you gotta forgive me. Um, where did we begin? Where did we begin? 4 dead, including suspect. 5 injured in shooting at Michigan State University. All campus activities canceled for the next 48 hours. In East Lansing, Michigan, Michigan University Police and Public Safety Intern Deputy Chief Chris Roseman said during his 12 a.m. update that 4 people, including the suspect, have died. 5 people were injured in the campus shooting at MSU. 2 of the victims that died occurred at Berkeley Hall, with another taking place at the MSU Union. The 5 victims who were injured were transported to the hospital. Officials located the suspect off campus on Lake Lansing Road and North Larch Street in Lansing. When police arrived, he appeared to have taken his own life with a self inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect was a 43-year-old black man, shorter in stature, wearing red shoes, a jean jacket, navy baseball cap with a lighter brim. Hmm, interesting. The shooting started around 8:18 p.m. at Berkeley Hall and spread to multiple locations near Michigan State University campus. We received multiple 911 calls of a shooting inside Berkeley Hall, said Michigan State University Police and Safety Intern Deputy Chief Chris Roseman during his 11 p.m. update. The incident moves to a building near the Michigan State Student Union where there was another shooting reported. Immediately following the first incident, police and emergency responders tended to the victims at both scenes. I can confirm that there was at least 5 victims, Roseman said. All 5 victims were transported to the hospital. Some of these victims do have life threatening injuries. Community members on and off campus were told to shelter in place. We'll get to that later. For people off campus, please do not come to the campus, Roseman said. I can't say that enough. For parents, we understand. I can only imagine the emotions that's involved right now. It's going to help us, and it's going to help our response, and it's going to help us identify the shooter. The less people that are on campus at this point, please do not come to the campus. Hundreds of police officers, law enforcement officials, state, local, and federal, were on scene at MSU campus. All campus activities canceled for the next 48 hours, class, sporting events, and all campus related activities. Understandably so. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Whitmer, issued the following statement on the deadly shooting at MSU. Our Spartan community and Michiganders across the state are devastated. MSU campus is a special place for so many, and now it's the site of another senseless act of gun violence. Parents across Michigan were on pins and needles calling their kids to check in on them and to tell them that they love them. It doesn't have to be this way. Certain places are supposed to be about community, learning, or joy. Elementary schools, college campuses, movie theaters, dance halls, grocery stores, and workplaces. They should not be the sites of bloodshed. This is a uniquely American problem. Notice the language that's being said right here, folks. Too many of us scan rooms for exits when we enter them. We plan who the next text or call go out to. We should not. We cannot accept living like this. I want to thank our first responders for their swift actions on the ground tonight and the medical professionals who are working to save lives. Spartans will cry and hold each other a little closer. We will mourn the loss of beautiful souls and pray for those fighting for their lives in the hospital. Okay, 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 okay. All right. If you're ready for Sergeant Faulkner now, Commander Faulkner, to give his statement, give me a woo in the chat. I know I'm not going to get too many um, viewers because of the subject matter. You know, they try to suppress that shit. But give me a woo in the chat if you want me to really go. Hmm. Let's look at a more updated version. Police were searching for a motive the day after the gunman opened fire on Michigan State campus Monday evening, killing 3 students. The suspect, police said, was 43-year-old Anthony Dwayne McRae. Had no affiliation with the university. He killed himself after being confronted by police a few hours after the shooting. Mr. McRae had pleaded guilty to a felony firearms charge in 2019, according to court records, and the neighbor said that they had called the police last summer to report gunfire at the house where he lived. The victims. 3 students were killed, were identified Tuesday as Brian Frazier, a sophomore. What is this? Aurel Anderson, a junior, and Alexandria Veneer, a junior. Hmm. Mhm. Of course, the suspect did not know any of the people he shot, and they had no connection whatsoever. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to really say this. I'm going to give my please hit the super chat, the cash app. I don't know if we're going to get a lot of traction. I don't know if this is going to get me shadow banned because I'm going to say some very controversial shit. I notice how they talk about gun violence like this is uniquely American. Nobody ever talks about the gun violence in the Middle East. As a matter of fact, every Thursday when they have a wedding, guess how they celebrate it? You see 40 dudes, sometimes each armed with an AK handgun, some armed with 2 AKs shooting in the sky, celebrating a wedding. When I was part of the QRF in Iraq, we had to settle a dispute and chase a guy on a run for shooting his brother for the equivalent of something that's less than 2 cents. So when they use certain language like gun violence, no, let's just call it what it is: violence. I hate it when people word certain things like domestic violence. Because of the media, nobody ever pictures a man being the victim of domestic violence. When a man hits a woman or a woman hits a man and they have carnal knowledge of each other, that's domestic violence. Women think Oh, well, he's a man, he could take it. It's still domestic violence. Okay? Now, number one, I think any politician that tries to invoke any law or get on a soapbox about this, I'm going to think of them the same way I think of any other politician who does it when any other actor shooter happens. You're a sleazy scumbag. But I'm going to ask this one question and give you an example. When I went to school and I was carrying legally, one of the professors didn't like it, especially for the EMT course. And what was particularly funny about this is that one of the places that active shooters commence or active shootings commence are in places of educational institutions, shopping malls or town centers, places of worship, where people have large gatherings of people who tend to be unarmed. There's a very significant low chance of an active shooter occurring at a police station. Raise your hands in the chat if you really want to know why there's a very almost insurmountable miscellaneous chance of an active shooter occurring at a police station. Every time, shout out to Ron87. Yep, we're going to leave that up there for a second. Every time you hear the word gun free zone, I want you to think it's not really gun free zone, it's victim zone. Okay? We in America create victims. We don't prosecute the criminals. We don't prosecute the guys selling poison in our cities, in our corners. We don't prosecute selling shit. What do? We go about shit in a very stupid way. And this is the part about I'm going to address something real quick because I expect this stuff to come up, okay? The sign clearly disarms criminals, sir. That shit is so laughable, man. And I know you were joking, but of course, it's not a laughing. It's not a laughing matter, but it's so comical that it's criminal. I, I know you're joking, man. I know. I'm not going to rag on you, but this is what liberal minded people think. And I'm glad you actually said it. They think that if you make this a gun free zone, the kids are going to be safe. I'll give you where everybody reads that sign. Do me a favor. Somebody type in the words of the sign that's in the upper right hand corner of my screen. Please type it in the chat, please. So for all you soft hearted, weak kneed, light in the ass, castrated testicle motherfuckers don't want to hear from a quote unquote not an expert, but I kind of am an expert, this may not be the place for you. Matter of fact, don't go because we need the viewership, and I like liberal tears to give me substance. it's so sad because last time I checked, I look at gun violence, I look at gun free zones as the same way I look at having the ability of giving your kids to a daycare full of pedophiles. Okay? I know. I know. Follow me here. Follow me here. When I hear the word gun free zone, I might as well have you might as well give your kids to a daycare full of pedophiles. You know why? Because you just fed the lions. You just fed the lions. Anytime you fucking have a gun free zone, it's probably gonna be some guns shooting innocent people. Let's take your major cities, right? I'm from Baltimore, live in Baltimore. How many gun laws do we have in Baltimore? How strict on guns? But last time I checked, niggas still getting shot. When you restrict the people's ability to defend themselves, you don't make them citizens, you make them subjects. Okay? Okay. And oh yeah, they're very celebratory in the Caucasus Mountains of Northern Africa. Because you gotta remember, a lot of that is because of Middle Eastern traditions. So you you send kids off to college and you tell them to bunker in and stay, but they don't have anything to make them equal to the active shooter. And when you look at a college campus, you don't have too many doors that lock. You don't have too many things you can barricade yourself or use as a potential weapon. And I do agree with shout out to Mike Brown, aka known as Instructor Mike on YouTube and Instagram. A lot of these police officers on these campuses do not have active shooter training, or if they did, it's been so long ago that it's not even relevant. And for those of you coming in and who are new, please type in the chat my resume of why I can talk about this shit. And I can speak very freely about it and very cavalier. I'm going to tell you this. For those of you who have college kids in college or about to go to college, everybody checks the curriculum, everybody checks um, the student life, the Greek life, and all this other stuff, right? Nobody checks the police. Nobody checks the security protocols. Nobody checks to say, hey, what's the training and requirements for active shooters? For not only my kid, the student, but also the public safety officers and police officers on the campus. Nobody says that. Nobody ever says, are these officers equipped with long rifles? Something that's capable of taking down an active shooter with a long gun. Hell, let's even ask the question about your local police departments. So, for all you idiots who wanted to defund the police, Remember what defund the police means, meaning we take away the money so you cannot properly train, which puts you, your parents, your friends, your loved ones, your lovers at risk, even greater. So each and every time I see an active shooter, I see a lot of things that are key, key to the survival. Thank you, Red Lion. No one understands cause and effect. The more you try to ban guns does not stop bad guys from using guns. Okay? Neighbor asks a good question. What about CC cameras and other protective measures? Did you see the did you see the icon on this video right here? That's what the CC camera, closed caption camera, actually took. A photo, a video slash photo of him. It does not stop. Okay? And the black community in America, which I'm pretty sure Namer is very versed about, because it's probably in the stop kicking the chair, Red Lion. Stop kicking the chair. You know, in the black community, the urban black community, we have an old saying that is as old as time immemorial. There's nothing but space and opportunity. Cameras and lighting and all this other fancy shit does not stop an active shooter. It emboldens them. Because a lot of these guys are trying to be on camera so they can be immortalized. It does not stop them. What stops an active shooter is usually a man with a gun confronting him, a man or a woman with a gun, because we do have some females who should be rightfully so vaunted as heroes as well, who shot an active shooter and stopped a massacre before it happened or while it was occurring. You can have all the $100,000 system, video recording, all the shit you want. If you don't have a man with a gun in their hand, if you don't have a person who has a gun in their hand to confront evil, evil persists. Remember the old saying, the only thing for evil to persist is for good men to do what? Nothing. I want you to think about that. The more this government and other governments around the world promote disarming their citizens, the more you're going to put your citizens at risk. When good men don't have the ability to defend themselves, what's the point? You're just a victim now. And what's sad about this is people said, when is this going to stop? It's going to stop when you stand up for yourself and take fucking action. An active shooter is no different than a schoolyard bully. Somebody put that in chat for Time Memorial. An active shooter is no different than a schoolyard bully. You remember when you were a kid and you had a bully? And that goddamn bully. And please, we only got 30 people, 33 people, and only what? 17 likes? We could do better than that. Share this. Let's at least have equal likes. Let's at least do that. Like, share, and subscribe, people, please. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this. Nope, nope, nope. The statement is an active shooter is no different than a schoolyard bully. But I understand you probably had a typo. But here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. When you look at active shooters, right? They typically, 9 times out of 10, hell, I forgot the actual statistic for it. When they're confronted, the first thing they'll do is hide and take their own lives. The first thing they'll do is to hide and take their own lives because they're cowards. Many of them are cowards. Many of them are cowards. And you really have to understand the psychology of these active shooters. Sometimes it's desperation, sometimes it's for infamy or notoriety, sometimes it's mental illness, sometimes it's a combination of that shit. But statistically, we found that when you confront these evil bastards with the same or greater force that they're confronting you, just like a schoolyard bully, they rather hide and take their own lives than to keep going on with the massacre. So I'm going to ask you, good people, of logic mind, warm souls, clear emotions, and physical bodies, why do we constantly put ourselves and our children, especially, in dangerous situations and not give them anything to defend themselves with? Somebody answer me this. I want all my people from DC, right? Give me a senator. Give me somebody who is diametrically opposed to me right now. And answer, why, oh, why would you send your child into that? Anybody? Anybody? And that may be the ultimate answer right there, Red Lion. Security for me, but none for thee. The same people who are guarded by Secret Service agents, both uniform and plain clothes, Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police, the U.S. fucking military, and other entities are telling you to give up their guns, but they won't tell their security details give up theirs. I have friends of mine who went to Iraq with me who were extra liberal and say, well, it's not true that a good The only way you can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Yes, it is. Because do you know how dangerous it is to try to wrestle a gun from a guy? Majority of the time, the person gets shot. It may be heroic, but majority of the times they get stopped when an active shooter's going. They get stopped with a gun. Would anybody like to hear my speech about active shooters? If Charles Faulkner Jr. was president of the United States of America, would anybody care to hear that speech towards active shooters? Anybody? I need more people. Would anybody care to hear my speech? Still waiting for a few more people. Anybody want to hear my presidential speech towards active shooters? It goes a little something like this. My fellow Americans, I say to you with a sunken heart, in such a terrible time, that I guarantee you this promise. We will support every American who does not have a felony, who was never convicted of a domestic violence, who was never committed to a mental institution, to make sure he or she has the right to protect themselves, their families, their communities, and their country. We will not restrict those rights from people who are law abiding citizens. We will actually defend and protect them. And to those who care to do evil in our parks, our shopping centers, our colleges, schools, anywhere, best be sure you may get one of us, but the 5 to 10 of us are going to get you. I'm going to say this to anyone who comes to harm students of college and the children of primary schools. If you decide to come onto campus to harm any of our children, we will kill you. Let me reiterate this. We will shoot you dead on sight. You have just signed your death warrant, and we will make sure that you see the mighty God Himself and then tell them that the man in black sent you. and for those who do evil. I want you to be very cognizant of this. The words I just spoke were not a threat, they're a goddamn promise. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America. When are we going to have presidents speak like that? I'm going to try to revamp a lot of things because, we're a small agency for the public markets of Baltimore. And my first thing talking to the commanders and the staff, even though I'm part of management, I've said we need to revamp our active shooter policy. You have about 3 jurisdictions there: Baltimore City, the Special Police of the Markets, and the University of Maryland. And you also have other law enforcement agencies there. I'm going to say this. One of the biggest solutions, and shout out to AB Media, Charles Faulkner Jr., 2024. Whoa! My campaign slogan is, I'm not as bad as the last guy. Q, hail to the chief. What's the solution? And shout out to LAPD SWAT. The meek will inherit the earth, and the weak, and not the weak. Shout out, Commander. Will you also attend an alert school? I'm trying, man. I'm trying. But what's the solution? The solution is to give us a fighting chance. I want to reemphasize this, okay? Because I talked about this months ago, almost a year ago. I want somebody to really put this in the chat for time of memorial. Number one, the firearm, the gun, the sidearm, the rifle, the shotgun is a tool. The gun is a tool. Please put that in the chat. We need to be very honest about this. The gun is a tool. The gun is neutral. It knows no evil. It's number two. The gun is only an extension of the intent of the individual using it. Don't forget to hit that super chat. We're giving you some gems today. Number three, the gun, when not in operating use, is left alone, will not operate. We must realize that this gun is no different than a car, no different than a knife, no different than anything else that could potentially take a human life. The only way the gun receives power is if you give it to it. We must also understand that when we allow the government to take our ability to defend ourselves, we become weaker and we become prey. I don't believe that. Wait a minute. Let me get that out of the mind. We don't believe. We know. Number one, you're not a useful man unless you can defend yourself, your community, your family, and your country. You're not useful. Yes, you should know basic boxing, basic wrestling, basic ground fighting, basic joint locks, basic submission holds. Why can't we just have an impressive array of people, not only just law enforcement, but citizens who are ready to act? See, I hate to steal Coleon Noir's, stick, but it's very true. When the Second Amendment said a well-regulated militia, motherfucker, it meant you. It is your duty to defend God and country. There's too many people. There's too many people who do not understand that the fact that we have to be responsible. We have to be managers. We're going to have to be maintainers. We're going to have to be protectors. Okay? I don't believe in this victim shit. Okay? If you came to hear some victim, we need to ban all gun shit, that's not me. I'm the type of guy who says we need to get meaner We need to get tougher. We damn sure need to become stronger. We don't need weakness to breed. I want you to realize that when we don't celebrate our heroes enough, we don't develop our heroes enough. Okay? And what makes this frightening for people like us is that we're going to have the naysayers and the ne'er do wells fighting us each and every turn of protection. And how many times have I said the first rule of protection is obedience? Why can't we obey the Second Amendment? Each time we fail to obey the Second Amendment, an active shooter gets his wings. They get their gumption. He didn't go. See, this is the part you don't understand about these fucking cowards. They don't go and challenge the toughest motherfuckers on the street. They don't go to the police stations or the military bases. They go to campuses. They go to daycares. They go to malls. But you got these stupid ass politicians who won't fucking embolden their people to protect themselves. But once again, a lot of politicians have blood on their hands. And this is just another example of this bullshit. I don't care what you feel. It's what it is. Your feelings does not outweigh reality. Okay? It does not outweigh reality. And see, this is where so many, so many end up being destroyed. This is where so many end up being destroyed. Shout out to my brother, the barber extraordinaire. You could tell from the beard. And assalamu alaikum. Peace and love, family. Strength and order is a must. Just came from my jiu-jitsu with my son. Whoo! Power fist in the air. I want you to realize this, man. And I'm glad Ilongo said it. Soft targets. Soft targets. A man who can't defend himself is a useless man. What good are you to anyone if you can't defend? Now, we're not saying that you have to go out there and waste your life aimlessly. But what good are you? What good are you? A lot of people don't want to say that. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. You know why? Because there's a large amount of responsibility. I want you to realize that. We don't teach our sons to be men, defenders. We don't promote people in defense. If I was married, not a matter of fact, I don't even have to be married. A good number of my ex-girlfriends learned how to shoot and use a knife because of me. You give teachers, you give daycare providers, you give these motherfuckers no way to defend our children. And shout out to, the law enforcement and public safety officers that had to respond to that scene. It's not easy. You can't be everywhere at once. But God knows it. We're going to have to empower a lot of our people. We're going to have to. And see, here's the bad part about being in the black community that's different from everybody else. We're ready to harm each other, but we're not ready to harm someone who's coming to take the life of our children. See, with great power comes great responsibility. Majority of law-abiding citizens who carry firearms do not commit heinous acts. Very rarely they do it. Just like they want to say, well, shootings went up. Well, shootings went up because of the defense. You have more people who defended themselves with legal firearms than shootings on the street. It's ridiculous now. So much so that we're going to have to think of some very, very. Let me back up for a second, folks. Fuck all that. We're going to have some very deep and open conversations. We're going to have to check our stupid ass politicians who don't know a wristwatch from a wrist lock, who don't know a firing pin from a goddamn ink pen. And how the fuck you going to tell me I don't need an AR-15? I'm going to ask you this question real quick for all you senators who might listen to this, all you Congress people, you representatives, both at the local, state, and federal level. I'm going to ask you this one question. I'm going to ask all you politicians, what's up, Darren, aka Biggs? I'm going to say this to you. When you talk about banning AR-15s or so-called assault rifles that you still have yet to tell us what an assault rifle is, for every victim of an active shooter, do you think they wish they would have had an AR-15 in their hand at the time? I know. I know. I ain't shit for asking that question. I know I'm not shit. I know they're going to send the people after me. But I'm going to ask this one more time. For every victim of an AR-15, of an active shooter, do you think they wish they had an AR-15 in their possession? Or do you think they're going to say, no, 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 we should go ahead and ban it? I want you to think about it. How many people say no to firepower when their lives in danger? You give me all the motherfucking bullets and rounds and guns that you got, plus 3 more. Last time I checked, the founding fathers were getting their asses handed to them by the British. And you know what the general said? Fuck all that. We're going to cheat. We're going to win this motherfucker by cheating. Fuck fighting like a gentleman. We're going to cheat. We're going to win at all costs. We're going to do some foul and nasty shit to stay alive. Do you think them victims wish they would have had firepower? What do you think would have happened if one of those victims would have had a gun on them? It may not save your life, but it gives you a fighting chance. See, this is the reason why shit like this, I'm so hard on black women. Who the fuck's protecting you? The more you say, I don't need a man, the more you say, I'm gonna be a victim. See how everything correlates? See, Darren's married. His wife doesn't have to worry about protection. That is him. Hell, she got a couple of guns her goddamn self. But he's the protector of the family. But no, people are going to say I'm some gun nut. I'm some crazed lunatic. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But once again, we have another goddamn example of what happens to when your fucking elected officials fail you. And guess what, Hamer? I am a very big fan of asymmetrical warfare. Big said, but the ones pushing the ban the AR have security details with the same firearm that's being banned. Makes no sense. Shaking my head. Let me ask you something. Do you think I think my son deserves protection? I think he deserves to live and be protected. And not just the president's kids, not just the governor's kids, the mayor's kids. We will not engage the enemy directly. We will engage them asymmetrically. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's asymmetrical warfare is basically unconventional warfare. We're going to do some dirty shit. See, this is basically that, and yes, you're right, all children should be protected. I'm pretty sure people around this country who send their kids off to school, both parochial, public, religious, elementary, middle, high, college, did not send them to be a fucking victim. If you want common sense, real solutions, last time I checked, in order to get the bully off your ass, that bully must be confronted. Do I need to do the new the new American the new revised American edition of the active shooter from the FBI statistics? Do I need to do that again, folks? How many times have I told people on this goddamn channel, stop being a goddamn victim? Stop allowing your elected officials making you a victim. There's a lot of blood on these people's hands who talk about gun bans. What happened if those young children, those young adults, had somebody defending them or would have been capable of defending themselves? Fuck a gun zone, a gun free zone. It didn't work in Baltimore. It didn't work in New York. It doesn't work at your schools. It doesn't work at your goddamn malls. It doesn't work at your playgrounds. And it sure as fucking didn't work today. And all you're going to hear is these little jackpot, opportunistic fucking politicians that use this to try to ban or we're going to make this harder for criminals. A criminal doesn't follow the goddamn law. Even Siri said she didn't know how to respond to that shit. I challenge one motherfucker right now. One. One. To come up here in the chat who's man or woman enough to challenge a goddamn thing I just said. Last time I checked, I'd rather give somebody a fighting chance than to make them a sitting duck. How much longer are we going to have our children, our wives, our husbands, our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our friends, co workers be victims? See, here's the problem. We already have extremely hard crackdowns on illegal guns. The problem is not the illegal guns. The problem is that what are you going to do to confront the criminal with the gun? You should have a good guy, a good woman with a gun to take care of him. See, the problem is this. We look for other people to save us instead of being the heroes of our own narrative. Does that sound familiar? Black Manosphere? Gee, I wonder who came up with that statement. I really wish I knew that I could shake that man's hand who came up with the statement of being the hero of your own narrative. But y'all don't feel beat up. I know it's been a while since I did a live stream, and I know it's been a while since I've been this goddamn passionate. But god damn, really? Really? I want you to think about this. I want you to really think about this. I'm going to tell you for the last time. Crime goes significantly down when there's hell to pay. You could make all the gun laws you want. You could make all the bans you want. It's not going to do anything unless there's the spook at the door with the rifle in the window. Last time I checked, that iconic picture of Malcolm was not with a gun free zone ban in his hand. It was a mini Ruger 14 in his hand, last time I checked. It's very hard for me to hear a sitting United States president and others talk about banning guns when they're protected by them. It is very disingenuous for a man to tell me the only reason you're starving is because you didn't make a sandwich. But yet, you know that I don't have any bread. You know that I don't have any meat. But yet, you constantly have people feeding you sandwiches. Could you give me a sandwich? No, you got to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. That's the same logic that the fucking politicians give you. They will rather let you starve and die than to give you a fighting chance. And for those of you who are anti gun, guess where the first gun laws in this country came from? Reconstruction, anybody? Keeping guns out the hands of Negroes, anybody? Oh, you know the government was really great on that. I bet you the government really protected those black people who were just freed after the Civil War. No hard feelings, Southern slave owners, right? We gave up our guns. They took our guns. The United States Army took, the Union Army went back to D.C. and all hell broke loose. Next thing you know, motherfuckers was swinging from trees like Tarzan. In the bad way. That's what gun confiscations and laws do to people. For all you liberal black folks who don't recognize history. But Charles, Commander, Sergeant Faulkner, why don't we just ban those big, scary black guns? There's a funny thing you got to realize. Everything black they want to ban. AR-15s, black men, black rights, black power. See the correlation? James Speed said any politician that tries to make a law against the Second Amendment should be investigated for treason. I'll go one further. Any politician that makes a law against the Second Amendment should be tried for treason. Fuck investigated. They should be in cuffs being tried for treason. but they want us to trust and follow their narrative of a country that was dope. Remember when I told you the three things the black community don't give a fuck about? You ready? Please put them in the chat. Number one, black boys. Number two, education. Number three, being the hero of your own narrative. How can you be the hero of your own narrative if you do not have the God given ability to defend yourself? I, Lord, 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 Lord. If you Negroes don't listen to anything I say, you Negroes don't listen to anything I said, you motherfuckers better come ready. You motherfuckers better come ready. Hold on for 1 second, folks. Shout out to Mr. Blue Collar for the officer showing my support. Sad day on Little Brother's campus. You know, there was this Asian guy who was invited to the White House because he should be hailed as an American hero who, just out of fear, adrenaline, and knowing that if he didn't stop him, that people were going to die. And he was able to successfully wrestle the gun out of the guy's hand. And Biden invited him to the State of the Union address. Why hasn't Biden ever got the guy from Indiana who shot and killed an active shooter 40 yards away with a handgun? What about the young lady who shot a guy coming into a bar who was about to start shooting and she shot him before he could get a shot off? Now, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Neal. No V-Day date, nigga. I will say the same for you. But I'm guessing the badge is still had to wear in, right, nigga? But shout out to my boy Aaron. This guy. Beastly Nerd said with the $10 super chat, it's what Chris Kyle's dad said in American Sniper film about people being sheep, wolves, or sheepdogs. Unfortunately, most of the people are sheep he was talking about. See, what Beastly Nerd was talking about is that there are three types of categories. There's sheep, sheepdogs, and wolves. Sheep have almost no natural defense against any predator. They're pretty much prey. There's no defense most sheep have. And what happens is that that's the majority of the people on the planet. Wolves, which hunt in packs and are very predatory, are the people who want to go out and do harm to the sheep. But the sheepdogs are the ones always on vigil watch. They're always looking out for the dangers and trying to protect the sheep. You don't have a lot of people willing to defend themselves. People think that if they ignore most problems, those problems are going to go away. They said the same thing about COVID. Did that shit? Ignoring COVID didn't make it go away. Okay? You had to take some action against it. And fundamentally, you're going to have to take real conscious efforts to eliminating the threat to human life. You're going to have to put more law enforcement and increase and armed security and increase the funding towards their training. You're going to have to arm law abiding, sound mind, non domestically violent, non, you know, non felons, train them up and have them armed. And for those who say, well, what about the people who slipped through the cracks? You being armed and ready is going to keep the people who slipped through the cracks in check. And those and Aaron, I just got to say this to you: if you still having Valentine's Day dates, man, that's some young shit. If I did have a chick, I would tell her, "What the fuck? Like I didn't love you the other 364 days." He gets the joke. He said, "I'm not doing that sucker shit." Exactly, it's sucker shit. Oh fuck, are we still dating? I thought we were above that shit. I don't know what to say. I guess I'll open it. Darren said, "We in 15 years. What the hell is V Day?" For some of you that's VD Day, but some of you out there got VDs on V Day or VD Day. So hey, that's the closest thing. But I agree with Darren. Shit, 15 years. The fuck's a Valentine's Day? Who does that? You know. Backbone said Happy Simp Day. Yeah, like fuck, man. Fuck, like who celebrates this shit, man? The happy, maybe I might get lucky if I give her a bunch of gifts and flowers and candies and praise her like she's the fucking goddess Aphrodite while she spits upon me and go share this candy, flowers, and shit with the nigga banging her back out. The fuck? Oh my goodness. If you're going to give out flowers on Valentine's Day, do what I do. Just give them out to random women and little girls. Just here, happy Valentine's Day. Don't even look for anything in return. Just do it as a nice gesture. I'm, I'm sorry. Even though it's a little off subject, why do you celebrate this stupid shit? If your girl's upset about Valentine's Day, that's probably not the wife you need because you have bigger fish to fry. But I might do a little bit of a panel. Anybody want to come on? If you want to come on, give me something in the chat. I might do it for a few minutes. Shout out to LAPD SWAT. Do you think America's enemies smell blood, especially after the Uvalde shooting last year? How would you develop a warrior mindset in your staff? Good question. One, you have to put people in an uncomfortable environment, especially during training. Sometimes training might have to take place in the rain. Sometimes it might have to take place. Last time, you probably seen the last time I went out shooting outdoors, it was cold and it was muddy. So you have to prepare. We were shooting on the move. You can check some of my shorts and some of my videos from when we were outside and it was cold and it was muddy. Guess what? You're not going to always get a chance to train or to get into engagements when it's sunny and 80 degrees outside and it's perfect weather. No. Some of the biggest criminals know when to strike when it's cold, when it's snowy, when it's wet. People don't understand this. You got to train for all terrain because firearms react differently in colder or hotter weather. People don't know that. Sometimes the brass or the casings of your weapons can swell in hot weather and shrink and condense in cold weather. But there's a lot of people who's not going to tell you that. I think you're gonna have to have different bonding. You're gonna have to always have different, combative things. It's just like training a warrior mindset. Shout out to Mr. Brown, may he rest in peace, power in paradise. He didn't just teach us wrestling. There's certain things he would keep your competitive edge, like when you had the King of the Hill, where you would all be back to back in a circle. And when he says go, you got to pull yourself out. You got to try to pull all your other teammates out the circle while keeping your feet in the circle. You got to keep their, get their feet out the circle. You have to build some camaraderie. You got to train. You got to have a mindset as a protector. You have to think about the mission. And that's a lot of things what a lot of young men are not allowed to do because of this feminized nature that they're trying to bring, or indoctrination, not nature, that they're bringing for young men. They're trying to breed the fight out of them. You don't want your boys to be competitive because it's going to hurt the girls. But then the girls are not going to have suitable husbands who can take control, lead them out of dangerous situations, and protect them. So you're going to have to constantly go through different training events, especially when it comes to like a crucible or team building exercises and things of that nature. Shout out to LAPD SWAT again. Churchill referred to the Russian soldiers, the Winter Soldier, ready at your best when things are at their worst. Exactly. You're going to have to put people in uncomfortable environments. I remember when I was in basic 20 plus years ago now, we were running in ankle high water that got up to our knees. Okay? You didn't, wherever the sergeant major went, you went. You didn't get an option where the fuck you gonna run. And he was an airborne ranger. Okay? He was this little 5'4" guy who smiled, but you could tell from the look in his eyes that he put some motherfuckers in the ground. Okay? You don't get the choice of where you go. Sometimes you're gonna go where God needs you, not when you want it. But I'm like this. You're gonna have to develop systems, you know, for the protection of these students and children. I mean, you can't put a cop in your pocket. So walking down the street, even the Dalai Lama said if a man's trying to shoot you, it is very reasonable to shoot him because he's trying to interfere and take your life. It's very reasonable. I don't understand why. I don't understand what's going on with the world. But a lot of you yahoos are fucking crazy. What's up, man?
Uh, I'm all right. How you been?
I'm chilling.
Hey, you seem a little more frustrated throughout the whole rant, but hey, you need to get that out of your system.
I'm not frustrated. It's just that this is the same shit. Here we go. It's like the old army cadence. Here we go again. Same old shit again. And
Exactly.
you're you're gonna get these politicians who never picked up a goddamn pop gun to tell you, well, okay, you can't use these guns, but I'm gonna ask you this one question. Do you think the victims of all these active shooters wish they had an AR-15?
Hell yeah. They had some weapons on them. You
Let's
would
go to the.
also think that these places would be better protected. You'd also think that there would be a lot more deterrence. Stop me if I'm going off topic, please.
Oh no,
You would
go ahead.
also think you would also think that there would be more out of the box thinking of how to tackle issues like this. Like, how do you stop people like this? Like, first of all, the shooter, the guns were his legally, correct? Charles, Charles, you muted yourself. Okay, gonna have to wait a little while until Charles gets
I'm
back.
back.
Okay, I don't know how much of what I said you
Uh,
heard, but
Repeat
my
it.
question first of all is the shooter in question, the guns he used, were those his legally? Did he legally purchase those weapons?
We don't know yet.
All right, until that's figured out. Because, like I said, there's always going to be some one way or another somebody gets their hands on weapons. Like a lot of people try to use the Sandy Hook shooting as a thing of gun control. I said, first of all, the person got a hold of those weapons because they belong to their parents. And the first person they took out with those guns were the parent. A lot of people forgot about that. I mean, I've spoken to people up here about gun control, and they explained to me how the rules are here. It's the only way you can legally own a firearm here is either you're a registered hunter or you're a member of a gun club. And even then, you got to go through thorough background checks. There's a lot of procedures. There's also things you have to do when you carry your guns from one place to another. You also got to show that you have a place where they can be safely secured and such.
I'm gonna tell you this. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between many countries in the United States is this.
Let's hear it.
The United States is the land where of the free and the home of the brave. We said that we know that governments can be so authoritarian and totalitarian that we need to put something in the goddamn Constitution to keep the government in check. And also to keep the fucking the fucking on the man honest next to you. So when I
In the
look at
face
people,
of tyranny, you have the right to oppose that tyranny. You even have the right to overthrow any government that even thinks of going authoritarian on y'all.
and even then, you have a God given right because you remember the Constitution does not give you your rights. It is God Himself.
God given or nature, if some people might say. You have the
And
natural right to defend yourself.
And
But I digress.
the only thing the Constitution does is adhere to that right.
Mhm.
And how do we stop this? You're going to have to arm people in order to stop.
Not just arm them, thoroughly train them, and make sure they
And most
drill that in them.
and most
You
people
may go ahead, sir.
and most people who own firearms are trained legally. The ones who legally do.
Not just train them, also you have to have them go through regular practice runs every once in a while. Like, like take for example, in Switzerland, they have now conscription there.
Because you got to
And
remember, in Switzerland, they got to enforce. They have actual weapons of war.
yes, I'm getting to that. Every year, everybody has to report to the barracks because they have to redress their training and whatnot. There's a friend of mine here. Her significant other is in the armed forces here, and like a few months out of the year, he has to be away from home, and they go through drills and military training and military exercises and such to make sure that they stay ready at all times. So this is nothing. So I understand what you mean. So that's what I mean by not only thoroughly train them, every now and then they have to come back and be retrain. Because you'd be surprised how much your training can be lost in certain situations. Not to mention you have to also teach people how to be prepared for such shooting situations and whatnot.
And
how well drilled are these people into this such?
it's like this.
Mm-hmm.
Look, for example, at Pat Mahomes, right? He sprained his ankle. He rolled his ankle. And he had to fight through pain and he had to go do what needed to be done.
He had to fight hurt. He had to play hurt. And man, that was. Hey, Jalen Hurts at one time had to play hurt as well early in the season. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
And you got to have a warrior's mentality like, yo, I'm hurt, but I'm not out. Even in training for firearms, you have to train. Sometimes they're going to say, bam, your left, your right. I'm right handed. Your right hand's done. Switch to your hand. And you got to continue the course in your left hand.
I ain't going to brag, but I'll say this. During my time in national service, I made it a point to do everything left-handed as well as right-handed. A lot of people thought I was crazy.
Everybody's crazy till it makes sense.
I got a cousin who was in the barrack next door to mine. He's naturally a southpaw, so he did everything left-handed. I was the only person in our entire platoon, in our entire battalion, who did everything left-handed as well as right-handed. Like, why are you switching? I said, just for the fuck of it. So, and the drill sergeants got annoyed by me. Like, why are you doing everything left-handed? Why you always have to do left-handed? I said, why the fuck not? I'm like, all right, do it left-handed. That was my strong. I mean, it's not just also. Charles, are you familiar with an organization called NAGA?
Yes.
Do they have a chapter in Maryland by any chance?
Possibly. I haven't really checked.
You might want to check because, black men, black folks, let's not forget, they are still fearful of your asses being armed. Now, that's an uphill struggle y'all I got to deal with.
Do you know what I don't know if you heard, the first fucking gun laws were made for?
They were made to keep you guys unarmed in the South.
You're sure?
That's why you have groups like NAGA, because not only are they about gun owners. They're also about gun store owners as well. They have black people who organize and and train in black people how to use firearms and whatnot. They're certified trainers and whatnot. You got people with legit who who run and operate gun stores and shit and gun ranges. I remember was it one YouTuber, white guy, he talked about, and he had empathy for like black folks. He said, "Listen, I understand you guys have a hard time, and when it comes to like going through the BSs regarding gun laws and everything. Imagine if you guys had a gun, if there was a gun range where black in a black neighborhood, what kind of hell you guys are gonna be catching? Because cops are always gonna keep busting in, giving you a hard time, even though the fact you guys have the paperwork to prove that you have the right to operate one here. You know what I'm saying?"
It's even more technical than that because, one, a black man was never made to be a man, okay?
You guys were seen to be 3/5 of a man.
A black man was made to be a boy. Not a boy, but a boy.
Boy.
And because a man is given a gun because he can hunt, he can see that gun is not just for defense. It's also for feeding his family. It's for possibly defending his family, joining the military, doing things that a man could do.
Absolutely.
And what did we always do when it came to being men? They snuffed out your masculinity. They didn't want you to have a gun because you can change. If you think the Klan could do what they could do if black people didn't have guns?
Hell no. They would have been like, oh shit.
Because every time you have a gun, notice the people who had a gun had a vote.
It ain't fun when the rabbit has a gun.
Especially the Negro.
Yep, that's why they had to bomb what's the name? Tulsa.
Yeah. Because they would have been shot if they went in there before the bombing.
Wasn't just Tulsa, it was another place that had similar situations like once in North Carolina? Yeah, they also remember Rosewood, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They also had race riots that were going on in Chicago and in New York and in DC area in the 1910s prior to World War I.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about.
But we don't need reparations, right?
Why you gotta put me in a spot like that, AB?
Yeah, we don't need reparations, damn boy.
Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you, Lord Juno. That's the one I was talking about. This was it's like in the 1920s, after World War II, and a lot of the men in there were World War I veterans, especially all the black men.
We don't need guns for black men because you Negroes don't know how to act. Think about that.
BS.
Think about that. A man.
The most disciplined soldiers in World War II, World War I were the black ones. I'm not just talking about African American.
A man without a gun is a boy.
He's a sitting duck.
I'm going to say it again. A man without a gun is a boy.
And speaking of a man
with a gun,
introducing everybody's favorite mother trucker,
Don't nobody
A.L.
say
Evans.
shit. Don't nobody say shit. What's going on, fellas? What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
You sound sober. You okay, man?
Shit, I better be sober. I ain't rolled nothing yet. I just came up here to say howdy do's with three of my favorite compadres who I'm always on the air with. What's going on?
Okay.
Hold on. I ain't through. Fuck today, because today is my ex-wife's birthday, and I do not even acknowledge this day. I just here to say fuck this day. I do not like this day and nobody born on this day. If you happen to be born on this day, I'm sorry, casualty of war, because I married somebody born on this day. Shouldn't have never did it. But anywho, um, I just woke up out of a stupor and I seen Charles was on. Charles, I seen the cover. What's going on? I see you look like two thugs walking towards somebody's demise. Hopefully they on the way they was looking.
Oh, that was a video. That was a video shot of the active shooter on Michigan
Wait,
State
Michigan
University.
State?
Yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, update me on that, bro. I just happened to I got lost in the world this weekend. I had to get away. My boys came and scooped me up for the Super Bowl weekend.
Because
I don't know.
basically
Yeah.
you had a guy come up on campus and shoot what 5 people and kill 3.
Well,
I think
let me guess.
I think he shot more than 5, but I
Yeah,
know 4 are dead.
what I saw was 2 was dead and number 9 was wounded. But let me guess, he wasn't a student of MSU, correct?
Hmm. I mean, he had no
Affiliation.
no affiliations.
No connection whatsoever. He was a middle-aged man, and they're still trying to find the motive.
Okay, I'm just curious. I'm not judging right now, but I'm gonna judge, but not right now. What was his race? I'm
Black,
just curious. White,
black.
black? Oh, we're starting to become a problem for these fools too.
Mm.
Okay.
You know what
I,
this means? Now they got a black face for. Now they got a black face.
Now black men are going to be the face of active shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit, because guess what, Charles? We can take these motherfuckers all the way back to 1982, California, McDonald's, when they started this shit, even when it went mainstream. But even before, I could take them back to the UT Tower. My big mama was working on UT's campus when that happened. So
You mean the
after
ex-marine who had the brain tumor in his head and shit?
exactly. So basically, in a nutshell, white boys got active shooters covered from the rooter to
We
the
know
tutor.
they got them covered.
You're not gonna make us the face of some shit y'all been doing for over 5 fucking decades. Fuck that shit.
No, we know that they gonna, but they sure as hell gonna try.
Oh, these shoes here gonna try just like what they did with what's his name in the DC area back in 03.
Man, look at here. They love to claim they're the best snipers and the greatest shooters in the world. Now, all that goes to y'all, not us.
Hmm. Too many jokes about that shit, but I'm not gonna go there.
Oh, man. What's going on with my life?
Yeah. I'm not supposed to call my daddy today, but you know what? I'm gonna call him tomorrow. Because I know if I call today, he'll probably annoy me by saying that old Stevie Wonder song. Like he used to annoy me when I was little.
I mean, it's when you look at shit like this, man, they're gonna try their damnedest to make black men the face of this shit. I mean, they can't, but they're gonna try like hell too.
Oh, they will.
No, are we the face of the brothers leaving this place? You know, passport bros are all the rage now. No passport bros.
We
Well, we're abusing women overseas, but they love us.
don't forget they tried to make us. Don't try. They try to make black men the face of Me Too, i.e., Dr. Cosby. Until
But
that flipped. Until he got his appeal
They're still trying to go after
approved.
him.
Excuse me.
They're still trying to go after him.
yeah,
They're still trying to go after him. Was it a while back they were going after Rick James' estate and everything?
No, they're still trying to go after Bill Cosby. There's chicks still trying to sue him.
Yeah, that's what I said. They're going after him. They're going after a lot of people. Despite that. It's just they're trying to keep it more undercover now. They can't make it out in the open now like last time because there's a fear of the blowback if it fails.
Mm-hmm.
What else is new? Well, they try to make black men the face of almost everything negative.
Did you see that the therapist probably needs to go get professional help?
And
You talking about that psychotic helper, aka the therapist who likes to put down black men. She's at it again.
with the shit braid she got, yeah.
Oh, you know she's gonna try to ride this one. You're gonna
What
have
did she
all
do?
these chicks.
What
She's
she
on
do now, AB?
thing crying, talking about she's depressed.
Well,
Well, it said that those in the mental health profession are the people best equipped, best qualified to be working in mental health are people with mental health issues themselves. That's why a lot of therapists have to have a therapist on standby.
Yeah.
Hell, I mean, there's one clinician I remember whose articles and website I read that talks about the struggles black people have regarding mental health. Although it was a black woman, so I got to take that with a huge grain of salt. Even then, you got to rinse your mouth. But she did bring up some interesting points. The kind of challenges there are, especially when it comes to communication and concepts that are alien to black people. It is what the fuck it is.
That's a damn shame.
Damn shame indeed.
And then you got these jackasses every time trying to make a fucking political statement. See, we gotta ban guns. No, you need to properly make sure people are protected.
That's the problem, Charles, because you're gonna have all these talking heads, and understand they're all in cahoots with each other. Despite being on opposite ends, they're in cahoots with each other. So they know they're just gonna be, just stirring the pot up, getting paid just to be on TV, just to argue about this shit, and nothing's gonna get done. And let's not forget, like the late George Carlin said about politicians, they're all bought and paid for. It's a big club and you ain't in it. Hell.
Yep.
Ask yourself this one more important question, Charles. In the past 20 years, how many people who've been through the halls of Congress, both houses of Congress, and in the White House, and in the Supreme Court, how many people have ever had a stint in the military?
At one point, it was almost a requirement to go have military service to get elected.
Shit.
You recently, the first time you had a president, I don't think with military service like that was what?
Clinton.
Clinton.
But his vice president Gore had served in Vietnam. He was in the army.
But look at, even Bush, he was a lieutenant.
Senior or junior?
Huh?
Senior or junior? Because I know junior was in the National Guard.
Junior.
Both were. Well, both were in the military.
Yeah.
Junior was in the National Guard. Daddy was in the Marines and served in World War II.
He was in World War II.
Yeah.
And also, so we have. I don't even know if Biden ever been. Biden wasn't in the military.
No, Biden never was. He's also a teetotaler from what I understand. And let's not forget, Biden has dementia. He's not always there. He's not all there. That's the problem. He's damn near 80. He's not all there.
Biden's back at the war. He's back at the war. His brain is always on Affleck.
Oh, by the way, like I said about earlier, you know how many of these guys also are in cahoots with certain lobbyists? Sorry, AL.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, for a moment, we were hearing static. Static from your mic, man. That hurt. Thank you.
My bad.
I know. Not your fault. Just a little technical problems. Charles, just to lighten up the humor, we might as well bring an ad in here, just like we do it on Snowman Show. Since you brought up Patrick Mahone, the Patrick Mahone reference in this rant is brought to you by Bum Leg Orthopedic. No tripping, and damn sure no slipping. Bum Leg Orthopedic, the proud sponsor of Anthony. Oh my leg! Davis. All right.
Oh yeah. I mean, what's going to be really interesting is that I can see some of these Manosphere detractors are going to try to link us with this fucking idiot.
Just like how they try to link what's his face with the Isla Vista, just like how they try to link the Isla Vista shooter to MGTOW and other in the Manosphere.
Yeah, they tried their best.
It was absurd. I mean,
And I'm like,
I wasn't pissed off, but when they tried to associate his ass with BPD, I had to take exception to it. And then they realized, no, that's not a borderline. That's a fucking narcissist. Especially the psychologist who did the profile on this motherfucker.
mm-hmm.
Even though they were saying he was on meds, but then again, those meds, the thing about meds is like they're used to treat a plethora of disorders. It's not one size fits all. They use it's like a one size fits all kind of thing with most meds, be they antidepressants or SSRIs. So, yeah.
See, a lot of times, you get a lot of these guys, and when it comes to mental health, you need to tailor it to the person.
I understand what that's like. I mean,
Yeah, everybody's different.
everybody's different. I mean, it's just like, I mean, and some of these, and a lot of these medication aren't not without their side effects. I have my own experiences with these things, Would you believe me if I told you it's been 5 years? It's been like a good 3-4 years since I last had that one side effect from taking all those from taking an antidepressants.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the side effects from those meds they disappeared within 6 months after I stopped taking them. One, however, well, actually two in particular. One where I left with a permanent twitch, when I had this like weird twitch in my right arm. Haven't had that in like at least 3 or 4 years now. The other affects your sex drive sometimes, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Also, if you're on those things for long term, because they fluctuate with your metabolism, you end up gaining weight. You end up at a greater risk of developing high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, even type 2 diabetes.
We're joined by Electrician 480.
Hey, what's good, everybody?
What's good?
Hey, man, just working 7 days, 12-hour days, and hey, letting the money pile up. But I'm gonna pause and let Neymar go ahead and finish what he was saying.
Appreciate that, man. Just like what I said about antidepressants, and the withdrawals that some of the people get when they come off that shit, man, they can be really painful. I mean, in my case, the shit I was on, it was nothing serious, but they had me taking low doses, and like in the final months, they had me scale back the doses for a while until I could just like go one day without having to take them. And so even though the withdrawals were minor, they were still just as scary. But fortunately, you know, along the way, you know, counselor had me develop certain tools to help me overcome some of the shit. And those tools came in handy, especially when I was going through some personal, you know, some really fucked up shit. But it is what it is. Hey, Electricity, you've been working 7/12 is what you're saying?
Yes,
7 days a
sir.
week?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Since the beginning of the year, I've been pretty much on 7/12s. I just took the weekend off just to kind of enjoy myself with me and my new lady and whatnot. But yeah, I just been putting in that work, man. I got things I want to do. So I still listen to everybody and donate. Going to donate tonight, but you know, I still keep my ears to you guys and everything. But I might be in the background, but I'm still here. I'm still here.
Hey. Electrician, just let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
As hard as you're working, just remember one of the most important lessons in life we all learned. It was from Johnny Witherspoon in the Friday movies. No matter how shitty of a day you have, and things look a whole lot better after you take a good long shit.
Facts. Yeah.
You know, guys, thank you, Electrician. Thank you for your support. You know,
Hey, no problem. Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Yeah.
Or just total name it, or just
Sorry.
watching the show, giving a like. You know, that does a lot for the channel because, you know, if you haven't noticed, your boy Shadow Man. So you would think a subject like this, and me being one of the expert people that talk about it, I would probably. There was a time I was doing almost quadruple the numbers that I'm having now. And now I'm severely shadow banned. So hey, every like and every viewership, every time a person come on the panel helps, and I appreciate each and every one of you.
Oh, no problem, brother. No problem, bro. No problem. You know, you all know that this incident that happened here is only about an hour and a half from Detroit. Michigan, Lansing, capital. You know, Lansing is the capital of Michigan, and Michigan State is in Lansing. And man, it was all over the news this morning, and I just couldn't believe it. What I really couldn't believe, it was a brother. You know, it was that really, really took me back because I'm like, yo, you know, usually brothers, us as black men, we don't really go on suicidal missions like this. This is not our thing, and it's something that it was talked about all at work today, and like I said, it was all throughout the media, everywhere you turn on any radio station, it was talked about. You know, of course, we just, you know, we're still kind of healing up for what happened in at the high school here that was not too far from here a couple of years back too. So this is just really, really just it's really stunning. And I think, no, man, my name you were going about mental health and everything. Sound like you were talking about mental health. Kind of got on the tail end of that, but you know, mental health is very important. I think us as black men, we're under a lot of pressure. We're under a lot of pressure to perform at our jobs because we have a lot of people who don't expect that we can't perform. We're under a lot of pressure out here in society. We're under a lot of pressure in our own community, hell, even in our own homes. And the thing about it is that, you know, you never know. My father used to say this all the time. You never know what's going on in a man's mind. You never know. And, you know, those pressures can make us snap. And
every man has his breaking point.
Every man has his breaking point. Absolutely. Absolutely, brother.
Like you said here, it's just kind of snap because me personally, I do have my own mental health issues and I talk about that stuff all the time. So, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. There are times where I've reached my breaking point. I'm on the verge. I've reached my breaking point. I've snapped. Thankfully, and you know, in my case, I'm prone to psychosis. but it's more like it's a defense mechanism. When I get overwhelmed, I just like either shut down or just have a psychotic break. It's like really temporary.
Yeah.
And because there've been times there've been times where I've been like in certain places where it's like really crowded, and that's when I'm like, and I just start having this weird these thoughts in my head that I'm thinking, so this is what the mindset of a mass shooter is like. This is what it means to go completely postal.
Yeah, I mean, that term postal came from, again, from the metro. Yeah, what happened here in what happened a city not too far from, borderline with city of Detroit in Royal Oak, Michigan. I mean, and the thing about it is that, again, in our nation, in our society, we're just looked at. We're looked at as we're supposed to be emotional, indestructible. We're supposed to work like machines, and then at the end of the day, you fall over and you die. And
you're not allowed to be human. You're not allowed to be human.
There it is.
Especially black men, because that's the question. How many black men are seen as human beings? I remember. Go ahead.
You're not allowed to have a bad day as a black man.
Exactly.
You're not allowed to have a bad day.
Can I ask you a question, electrician?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Michigan State, that's in Lansing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where's the University of Michigan at?
The University of Michigan is in Ann Arbor. It's about 45 minutes. It's a 45 minutes drive going westbound. It's about 45 minutes.
Ann Arbor, Ann Arbor, that's the hometown of Sinbad, because I know Flint, Michigan is the hometown of Magic Johnson.
Yes, sir. Sinbad, he's not from Ann Arbor. He's from he's from the west side of the state. His hometown is
Kalamazoo. He's from the same hometown as my ex-wife.
Yeah. He's not too. Yeah.
AL's got a lot of static on his end. It's like hurting some of my ears. As you were saying, electrician?
No, he's on the west side of the state. Where he's from it's more closer to Chicago. It's actually like where he's born and raised from. No. He's on the west side of the state of Michigan, and he, like, for example, he could get to Indiana, where I believe AB. That's where you from, is Indiana, state of Indiana.
Yeah, that's right. Indianapolis, to be exact.
Yeah, he's more closer. Yeah, he's closer to.
Benton Harbor. Benton Harbor.
There you go. Benton Harbor.
Yep, and he served in the Air Force for a while. He served in the Air Force. Dishonorable discharge, though, for going AWOL, but hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But the thing about it is, going back to us as black men in our mental health, I think that, because if you think about it, we can't trust therapists, particularly black female therapists, because they're going to use the feminist talking points. Okay, we can't, and there's not a lot of black men who are therapists. Okay, and then a lot of them adopt those feminist talking points as well.
Misandric in nature.
Yes, absolutely. I think that a lot of times when content creators like Charles or BGS or even GG allowing us to have a panel discussion, I believe that's more therapeutic for us. It's very therapeutic for us, because we're talking amongst us ourselves as men, right? And everybody's coming up with the same problem. Like, okay, we have this same problem. Thank God that we got elders in this space. Again, like, shout out to BGS, who's been through a lot of the stuff that we're going through, or have been through, I should say. And elders like him can give us great, tips and points, how to avoid some of this stuff, how to navigate through some of the.
It's a form of, electrician, I think you went out, but as I was saying is, what you're trying to say is, like, it's a form of group therapy. We always have a group therapy and speaking and talking therapy among ourselves. You have, because it also established like a type of support network that each of us can have. So we have somebody to lean on.
Sure
So
does.
yeah,
Sure does, because oh, we lost him. But
he'll be
sure,
back.
it sure does, because
I think the
Black-
problem is like the stigma of it. That's the problem.
black men don't have too many spaces where they could turn and talk.
No, absolutely not.
We talk to our women.
About our vulnerabilities and weaknesses, they'll use them against us.
You're always also fearful of talking to even male friends because sometimes, some of them are just so insecure about their own masculinity. When you open up about your problems, you're afraid that they might use it against you as well.
I.e., look what the black female psychiatrist is doing.
I've dealt with psychiatrists here, mostly white ones. Well, they're all white. Most of them were female. But when I dealt with the male ones, it was a lot easier to converse with them because we were talking like guys, and I was able to relate with them. And I have to admit, I did learn how to manipulate a couple of them just for fun. But it was easy to converse with them. We were talking like dudes,
Mm-hmm.
And we also had to use a lot of humor, although when we talk about sports, because when it comes to soccer, we support rival teams, so we would go below the belt with certain jokes, but it was all in good. It was all meant to be funny and everything, humor.
Salute the electrician for lady. See,
Who is the guy in his avatar? I wonder. Looked like a 70s soul singer, 70s musician, something like that.
That's actually him.
What year was this?
He's that smooth.
Was he a bassist or a keyboardist?
Good question.
Yeah.
But that's the electrician. He was that smooth. He's that smooth. But you gotta remember that a lot of black men do not have outlets. It's gonna be
healthy outlets. No healthy constructive outlets.
hell, we don't even have real outlets, even when they're dangerous. And here's the craziness about it. It's going to be very interesting the next couple of days and weeks when more information comes out. These detractors of the manosphere are going to come out in full force trying to link us to every goddamn active shooter known to man.
Yeah. It's going to be a backlash. It's going to be, or like I said earlier, you're going to have people trying to make political hay out of this. You're going to have lobbyists. You're going to be making money. You're going to see politicians get their palms greased and whatnot. This should not come as a surprise. Hell, how big of a memorial do you think there's going to be at the next Pistons home game?
Oh boy, it's going to be very publicized.
It's going to be publicized there. At the next Red Wings game also, because it's hockey season as well.
Man, you lucky this didn't happen during the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl.
What type of shit is this? People getting shot up at a college. This is. When was the last time you had a shooting at a university?
I'm not condoning what he did.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech? No, there was one after that. I think there was one in Oregon, I think it was.
Really?
Yeah, I think you got some static. You got static on your end. What's good, Mel?
What's good, man? I fell asleep the other night. I didn't even notice I fell asleep. Until woke up, so I was the only one on the panel, and the Steam was closed. I was like, "Oh shit!" I fell asleep.
Yeah, hey.
Pookie and shit.
Mel. I hope you did the Johnny Witherspoon thing and took a good long shit after that because you need to get all that bullshit out your system. Hey, some of us, we realize the first thing, first thing in the morning, take a good long dump because we know it's going to be a shitty day and we don't got no shit from nobody. Oh, man. I mean,
that boy was drunk or whatever. He wasn't thinking.
No. The boy, first of all, he hard-headed.
I know that.
He hard-headed. No, he hard-headed, and he insists on learning things the hard way. So we just gotta let him go, let him figure it out.
No, you gotta let him go. Let him survive his own way.
Let him hit the wall. He needs to bump his head, as Snowman would say. He's got to bump his head and figure it out.
Yeah, he needs to get his own ass beat down a couple of times, and he finally get it.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, fortunately for us, he's not a skinny motherfucker. The reason I say this is because skinny motherfuckers like myself, it's not just a hard head. We also got a hard ass.
Well, he is.
So it's gonna take us.
Pause, man.
We got a bony ass. You got a hard head and a bony ass. So.
Well, I met in life.
Nigga gonna kick my ass and gonna break his own foot. That's what I'm trying to say.
It doesn't matter if he's big or well. He gonna get a worse beat down in life in general. Teaching that lesson.
What the fuck did you think I was going with this when you said pause, man? What the fuck you think I was going for that when I said that? I'm a skinny motherfucker, right?
You ever be? It was on this skit about his father and son. I forgot the name, but it's so funny. One of the skits that he was doing about what it was like. Even every time he's always having jokes about the summers are like, I'm just getting protection for you, man. Where? Because you keep saying, she's always squirting and everything, and he like, what? What are you talking about? Well, that's why I keep hearing you in the bedroom.
Yo, what's this? Extended clips. What's this shit you see? Hold on, I'm gonna go look this up.
What's going on, man, right now, man?
No, he sent a clip. He sent something in the comments.
Can't really go. What?
Project VOA mass shootings. Let's check this shit out. It's on YouTube. College campus shooting. All the shooters at colleges, universities had a history of mental illness. You've had one in the 70s. Oh wow! Thanks, Extended Club.
We constantly keep using mental illness, so much as a clutch now. So much is like
a cop out.
Exactly. Like in some cases, like you know what, these people just choose to do what they want to do.
Wait, did you hear what we were saying? Were you here when electrician was up here breaking it down?
Nah.
Oh man, you missed that. Because you was like explaining like how black men are not allowed to have a bad day and shit.
Yeah. It's like there's so much cop out for that this mental excuse so much. It's like we use that excuse so many times. It's like, yo, it really has no meaning now no more. It's like everything we need to do is a cop out of mental illness. Instead of accepting the fact, some people just want to do fucked up shit. And they always want to do it.
Motherfuckers snap and just want to get back at somebody.
Exactly.
Like, I mean,
remember the trench coat shooters and them dudes came shoot up the school.
Columbine in Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, even plenty stories of that. Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about. The first time we heard that happen. In reality, man, that was a kid that got picked on in school so much he just got fed up. And he actually wanted to hurt some motherfuckers, yo. That's his revenge.
Hey, if you remember Eminem's song "The Way I Am" from the Marshall Mathers LP, he talked about that shit. And what did he say? When the kid gets bullied and shoots up a school, and then they blame it on Maryland and the heroin. Where were the parents at? Look where it's at. Middle America. Now it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to be in upper class city.
Exactly.
Shit.
Mm.
Oh man, it's just like this. I mean, it's like Dave Chappelle was like talking about, you know, the absurdity and the futility of having shooting drills in schools. Because, like what he said, you know, who's in there with the kids, the potential shooter himself. He's like, where we supposed to meet up? Right. Okay. And all the parents are looking at each other because they understand school shootings is primarily what type of sport by who? White males.
Well, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Hey, what's good, Biggs?
Good, man. Hey,
Yo, how the old lady doing?
oh, she hanging in there.
Oh, she hanging in there. What the hell? You got? What the hell is this? Like this what's this V-Day shit? You know?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what the hell y'all talking about. What the hell is all that? What's this Valentine's Day shit y'all talking about?
Oh, no, I ain't with it, man. I'm 15 years
It's
old. I'm not
not
giving them about that bullshit. But
straight
I know about how they for old lonely or bitter single women and everything, or try to throw in dudes' faces. From my point of view, this is the last day of cuffing season. Tomorrow's break. Each is breaking up. Tomorrow's breakup day. They don't claim they single now.
Tomorrow's the first day of spring. It's time to go hunting, gentlemen.
bro
Yeah.
just sit up there
Exactly.
and said that joint like
Biggs,
coming out of
Biggs.
after the
Yo,
All-Star
see,
game.
this is
Niggas about to
first.
start
This
hooping
is
for real.
first part. Break up dudes. Next season, before official summer starts, time to work that body out and plot your whole session.
Hey, Biggs. Excuse me, Biggs.
Yo, I'm gonna put that on my Facebook timeline. Yo.
Yeah. Hey, yo, hold up. Hey, Biggs.
Yep.
Do you remember the original Kings of Comedy when Bernie Mac did his skit?
Mm-hmm.
When he was on, he was talking about how he was like, you know, he's 42 years old and he was tired of fucking his wife.
Yep.
I hope you feel that way half the time when you see your wife. You're like, 3 minutes. That's all I'm giving you.
I'm gonna tell you
That's all
what,
the fuck I got.
even when she sleeps, she hears shit. So I ain't gonna answer that question, but I'm gonna answer that question without answering that question. So, but no, look, right. I was putting my daughter to sleep. I was half ass listening. I don't know if anybody on the joint is from Michigan or whatnot, but ironically,
Oh, that was electrician.
okay, all right. Ironically enough, right,
Mhm.
it is the situation happened yesterday. So yesterday, 2 days. Yesterday was the 13th. It's supposed to have been like the 16th that Congress was supposed to be having, you know, whatever, like putting whatever in effect in regards to like gun laws and things like that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I just think the irony that happened prior to, you know, them having that gung ho meeting about it is like out of this fucking world. Like, I feel as though that was like a Kodak Black.
You mean like a false flag and shit? A false flag?
Yeah, that's just insane to me. Like, you know, I'm super 2A. I really am super 2A, but that be like, push that shit aside. Like, I believe Buddy was paid to do that shit. And
okay.
everything that's unveiled in regards to like the mental health, I'm not knocking it. I think everybody got a little, you know what I'm saying, mental health problem or whatever, but to the extent of them making it out of what it is, I think all that shit is premeditated to get old Joe, you know what I mean, initiative across because his son, you know, unfortunately passed away from gun violence or whatever his whole thing is. You see what I'm saying behind it?
Yeah.
I think it's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, that you're using, you know, your position to, you know, throw your weight around. Shit not cool at all.
I think it's one of those things where there are some things that are very controversial and conspiracy, where it's perfect timing that shit goes around.
Yeah, that make that shit outside of like conspiracy, bro. Like them niggas is doing that shit on purpose.
It's funny because they're trying to ban guns from all this now. I thought it was very funny last year. You had Uvalde, and you had Buffalo, then you had another city. I forget the name of the city with the guy for the 4th of July parade. And you know,
that was like near Chicago.
Yeah, and I'm like,
it wasn't
wait a minute.
Chicago. It was another. It was in a suburb town just outside Chicago.
Just like, wait a minute. Nobody gave a fuck when none of these black black neighborhoods have shootouts. Nobody's saying, "Oh, let's ban guns."
Hold on, bro. I gotta go to work in the morning. Don't start that shit. Cause you on point. Don't start that.
Oh, like you said, this. Every time it comes to every time when it comes to banning guns, there's two things. There's a racial component and there's a political component. And people just won't say what the fuck it is, because I will. It's racial and it's political. You don't want people to own guns because you're ready to do some real fucked up shit. And you're willing to put people out there that mysteriously have these mental illnesses, which I think is very true that they do have mental illnesses. And mysteriously, these people who never had access to guns before all of a sudden get access to them.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, think about it.
Can't,
Go ahead.
can't afford to feed their faces, but they got guns. Can't afford to pay their bills, but they got guns. Come on.
Yeah, and I look at it where they trying to demonize the gun so badly, more than ever before. Why? You already did the shit about the pistol brace, which is bullshit.
Well, don't get me started. I gotta go to work in the morning. Come on
You
now.
you've already done so much to the American public. You're telling me during a financial hardship that we should give up our guns. How the fuck am I supposed to protect myself against motherfuckers who are doing wrong?
But check this shit out, see. Shit goes super left, right? They gonna be recruiting our asses, giving out AKs like Ukraine. You dig what I'm saying? Watch.
I mean, how many imports did they send to Ukraine? Here's the funniest part. When I was in Iraq, you're allowed to keep a person in their home was allowed to keep one AK and two fully loaded 40-round magazines. So you had something that was more powerful than a handgun with more ammo, and the United States government just said, "Hey, they can have it."
Ain't that some shit? Terrible. But yeah, that's just the only thing I wanted to get off for real. I hang on a little bit, to chime in. But that's more than conspiracy, fellas. And chat. Like, come on, man. The Democrat, Republican, whatever it is, man, all them niggas is in the same goddamn bullpen. Like, for real. Mm-mm. No. They trying to get their agenda across, and they jeopardizing and fucking us up, citizens, law-abiding citizens. But the criminals, what the fuck is y'all doing with them? Nothing at all. Police ride right past. No disrespect to you, see, or whatnot, but police ride right past. No, I need, selling dope, crack, whatever, weed, and so on and so forth, and go right past.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
I mean, man, you gotta realize this is that before I sign out, because I gotta go to work in the morning. America and Americans, you're gonna have to figure out something. Banning guns is not the answer. It's just a cheap way out. Because you're gonna be in a war against people's rights, God-given rights. You have to figure out ways to let people be able to protect themselves, their communities, their families, their loved ones, their coworkers, and themselves. I'm saying, my son goes to college. I'm gonna find out how to get a gun permit in his name.
For real shit, what they should do, and I'm being funny with it, but I'm being serious. If you can pass a mental aptitude test when you walk across that stage, give him an ER.
Yeah,
Point
because
blank.
I'm sorry. If you really love your children, whether you have daughters or sons, when they move into a house, give them an AR, give them a pistol. Teach them how to use it very early.
Yeah, seriously.
Teach them not just to rely on it, but themselves. teach them is not, even if they get picked in school, look, you don't go to that school. Yeah, I'd rather you get an ass whooping from an honest fight than you taking an AR and punking out.
Man, they don't know what an honest fight is nowadays.
Yeah. And I'm like, how can you realistically send your child to fucking college? I've said this, and I don't know if you heard the whole rant, but there's too many people with blood on their hands because of shit like this. It's no different than what I said about those 5 idiots in Memphis. And it's the same shit. It's like, you can't tell me you didn't know any better. You can't tell me you were for the people. No, you were actually the people hindering them. And trust me, I'm going to cover this even more thoroughly going to the coming days and weeks when more information comes in. Think about this, right? And before I sign out, I want everybody to think about this. Notice I didn't say anything about the gynocracy. 2 hours. Notice the only term I even said about black women is like, the no black women, I don't need no man. That meant when you say I don't need no man, that means you don't have anybody to protect you. Which is a true statement, right?
Yeah, that shit is a crowd for help, man. That's all that is.
And see, this is the part where people don't see the fruition of what the hell the manosphere is talking about. The more you cry about you don't need this man, the more you're going to be a victim. Right now, we got a government that's hell-bent on taking away people's God-given right to protect themselves. I can't vote for that. I cannot roll with that.
Yeah, that's why everybody on the panel, I'm gonna let you go. Everybody on the panel, everybody in the chat, man, write y'all local politicians, man. If you're 2A or if you're not 2A, write them and tell them when that shit ain't right. In a professional way, but man, let them know. We gotta put, pen and paper and phone. You know what I mean? Is the phone calls, man. Like really reach out.
I don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Jew, Gentile, whatever you want to call yourself, Shinto, whatever religion you call upon, whatever you call God in His holy name. Look, we're all we got, and we got to think of something. Banning guns ain't gonna be the answer because the criminals still got them, and the government to turn them on you. I'd rather have 5 good people with guns watching their neighborhoods in each block than one jackass to screw it up for everybody. And on that note, we have
Good night.
All right, y'all be safe.
1.